Greetings, fellow adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another exciting video, where we'll be shedding light on Minkhaung I. Minkhaung I of Ava, also spelled Mingaung, was king of Ava from 1400 to 1421. He is best remembered in Burmese history for his epic struggles against King Razadarit of Hanthawaddy Pegu in the 40 Years' War. As king, Mingaung continued his father Swa Saw Ke's policy to restore the Pagan Empire. Under the military leadership of his eldest son Minye Kyawswa, Ava nearly succeeded. While he ultimately failed to conquer Hanthawaddy and Launggyet Arakan, he was able to bring in most of cis-Salween states to the Ava orbit. With the groundwork laid, let's now examine early life and its connections to our previous discussions. The future king was born in a small village called Razadarit, present-day northern Sagaing region, on 13 September 1373. His father, King Swa Saw Ke of Ava, had met his commoner mother Beza earlier in the year during a military campaign against Minye. Chronicles say that after giving birth to the child, Beza showed up at the Ava palace to present the male son, as instructed to by the king. The child was named Minswa. The king made Beza junior queen, and had two more children with her, Thidit and Thupabadui. Minswa grew up in Ava Inwa until he was 8. His life at the palace was not all well. Their older half-brother Tarabya, who was born to a senior queen, constantly bullied both Swa and Thidit. The bullying became a serious problem, and the king had to send away Swa and Thidit to a small monastery near Pinal to study under the chief primate Thingigolza. The two princes studied under the learned monk and travelled around the region, including Hanthawaddy, Minbu, Gape and Pagan, with their attendants. Our focus now turns to Governor of Pinzi, an important aspect of our discussion. Circa April 1385, Swa appointed Tarabya his heir apparent. The king kept Swa out of Tarabya's reach, and appointed his 11-year-old son governor of Pinzi, a small town about 85 km southwest of Ava. He also gave Swa command of the 33-member Pinzi cavalry. Swa would rule Pinzi for the next 15 years. Chronicles have little information about Swa's period as governor except that his rivalry with Tarabya continued, and that the rivalry may have cost Ava's best chance of defeating Hanthawaddy Pegu. In 1385, the king ordered his two eldest sons to lead a two-pronged invasion of the southern kingdom in what would become known as the 40 Years' War. Tarabya commanded the First Army 7,000 infantry, 500 cavalry, 20 elephants, while Swa led the Second Army 6,000 infantry, 500 cavalry, 20 elephants. The two princes were advised by Ava's best commanders, including Thilawoviamethin and Thinkathu Sonong. The Ava command expected an easy victory over an overpowered opponent. But Ava forces could not break through well-organized pagan defenses for 5 months. Then, King Razadarit of Hanthawaddy made a tactical error by coming out of his fortified capital to attack Ava positions near Pegu. Tarabya's army pounced, driving back and pursuing Razadarit's army. Meanwhile, Swa's army had positioned in the path of retreat of the Hanthawaddy army. Tarabya, the overall commander-in-chief, sent a messenger, ordering Swa to hold his position and not to engage Razadarit until his army could reach the scene. But Swa ignored the order and the advice of his seasoned commanders, and ordered his troops to engage. Razadarit's army defeated Swa's premature attack, and got back inside Pegu. 5 days later, with the rainy season approaching, the invasion was called off. Ava would come to rue the missed opportunity. Swa kept Swa from the next invasion in the following dry season. Swa was assigned to guard the capital while Swa and Tarabya invaded the southern country again. The second invasion fared no better. Razadarit committed no more errors, and hunkered down. Ava troops could not break through Pegu's defenses and had to retreat before the rainy season arrived. Swa was to get his chance again to go to the front in the campaign. But this time, he commanded just a regiment, and was directly under the command of Tarabya. At any rate, their army could not break through the Pegu defenses at Pegu, although the campaign ended in a truce. Let's now shift our focus to marriage and explore the ways in which it shapes our perspective. Swa was married to Princess Shin Minok, daughter of the chief of Monien, in a marriage of state. The marriage was part of the effort by Ava and Monien to mend their fences after the war between the two states. On the advice of Chief Minister Minye, King Swa selected Swa to marry Minok. While the peace with Monien did not last, Ava and Monien were to fight another war just 3 years later. Marriage between Swa and Minok lasted. The couple had 4 children at Pinzi, Minye Kyawswa, Swa Chantha, Minye Thehathu and Minye Kyawtin. Let's zoom in on accession and understand its implications. In April 1400, King Swa Saw Ke died and Tarabya ascended the throne. The new king kept his 2 half-brothers at an arm's length. Neither Swa nor Thaidat controlled a sizable army. When Tarabya became mentally unstable about 5 months into his reign, and other pretenders began circling the throne, Swa was not in a strong enough position to challenge them. In November, Governor Therpate of Tagung assassinated Tarabya and tried to seize the throne. But the court executed the usurper and offered the throne to Swa. But Swa was concerned about Governor Mahapilk of Yamethin, who controlled a sizable army, and told the court to offer the throne to Pilk instead. Thaidat implored Swa to reconsider. When his brother still refused, Thaidat took matters into his own hand. Thaidat and his small band of men ambushed Pilk's much bigger army near Ava while Pilk was not expecting. Pilk was killed. Swa had been proclaimed king by 25 November 1400. He assumed the title of Minkhaung, foremost lord or paramount lord. Let's now enter the realm of consolidation of power and discover the fascinating stories it has to tell. Minkhaung spent his first year consolidating his power. He kept Minye as chief minister and appointed Yoza's son Paukli governor Yamethin and Yoza's son-in-law Fado Thinkafu governor of Baden and Tabayan. He also appointed Thaidat governor of Saging with the title of Theresia Thor, but stopped short of declaring him his heir apparent. While Saging was a sizable province that used to be an independent kingdom, the younger brother was never satisfied with the reward and held a lingering resentment that would later rear its ugly head. With the foundation laid, let's embark on a journey into invasion by Pegu. Invasion by Pegu. The succession crisis at Ava did not go unnoticed. The Arakans raided western Irrawaddy towns. In Pegu, King Razadarit assessed that Minkhaung's hold on power was still weak and planned to place a nominee of his own. It would be payback for Ava's attempts to dislodge him early in his reign. Throughout 1401, Razadarit prepared an invasion river-borne fleet that could transport not only troops but even horses and elephants. When the dry season began, Hanthawaddy forces invaded by the Irrawaddy River, attacking all the riverside towns and cities, including their main targets, Prompe and Ava Inwa. The 40 Years' War had resumed after a 10-year hiatus. Initially, Hanthawaddy held the advantage. Ava did not have a navy that could challenge Pegu's massive flotilla. Ava forces had to defend inside the fortified towns along the river Prome, Mide, Sag, Salween, Pakanj, Sally, Pagan Bagan, Tolok, Pakanji, Saging and Ava. The Pegu navy held complete control of the Irrawaddy as far north as Tagung, but the blockades were not enough to force a surrender. Pegu's attempt to storm the ancient capital of Pagan failed. Minkhaung bought time by asking the monks to broker a truce. Protracted truce negotiations went on from April to June 1402, but the start of rainy season forced Razadarit's hand, and the Hanthawaddy fleet retreated from Ava. Minkhaung's vassals now rallied around him. He was able to assemble a sizable force, which he sent after the rainy season to relieve Prome. The Ava army decisively defeated the invaders south of Prome on 26 December 1402, forcing Pegu to ask for terms about 10 days after the battle. Minkhaung sent an embassy led by Minye to Pegu to negotiate a treaty. He wanted to exact a price from Pegu. After 5 months of negotiations, the two sides signed a peace treaty. The boundary of their kingdoms was fixed a little to the south of Prome. Pegu agreed to share the customs revenue of Basin Parfine and supply 30 elephants annually. In return, Minkhaung sent his only sister Thupabadui to be queen of Razadarit in a marriage alliance. In the next phase, we'll be immersing ourselves in the realm of cis-Salween Shan states and exploring its real-world applications. Cis-Salween Shan states. Minkaung had come out far stronger from the war. What began as an existential threat to his rule had turned to an agreement that was largely in his favor. In the following years, the king, with the advice of Minye, resumed the expansionist policy of his father in order to restore the Pagan Empire. His first targets were the nearer cis-Salween Shan states. According to the Burmese chronicles, the acquisition drive was largely peaceful and accomplished through diplomatic missions led by Minye to Onbang Sipor in Nyeongshu-in and Monin in 1406. But the Ming records say that Ava's missions were in fact military expeditions, and that the Ming court became especially concerned after Ava's capture of Monin in 1406 that killed the Sobo of Monin and his son. On 25 August 1406, the Ming court sent an embassy to Ava to end the aggression against the Shan states. Minkhaung initially brushed off the Chinese concerns. It was not until 1408, when he was about to resume the war with Pegu, that he sent an embassy to Nanjing. The Ming records say that the Ava representative offered a formal apology to the emperor for having occupied the Ming vassals without authority on 28 May 1408, but despite the promise, Ava was encouraging Senmi to rebel against the Ming. By September 1409, the Ming court was considering a punitive action against Ava. The simmering tensions would lead to war between Ava and Ming China between 1412 and 1415. Let's now zoom in on Arakan 1406 and uncover the hidden gems that lie within. Arakan 1406. Despite Chinese concerns, by August 1406, Ava had gained allegiance of all of its surrounding Shan states. Minkhaung now eyed Arakan. The Western Kingdom was a tributary of Ava between and during his father's reign, but escaped Ava's orbit at the start of the 40 Years' War. Using alleged Arakan's raids on Ava's western districts, he sent a 10,000-strong army led by his eldest son Minye Kyawswa to Arakan. On 29 November 1406, Ava forces took the Arakan's capital Launggyet, and Min Somon fled to Bengal. Minkhaung appointed Governor Anoroto of Calais King of Arakan. With that being said, let's now move on to heir apparent selection and its fallout. After Arakan, Minkhaung was riding high. He was greatly impressed by his son's performance, and wanted to make him his heir apparent. With the advice of Minye, he sent away Tarabia's eldest son and potential rival to the throne, Prince Minye, to Calais, a frontier state by the Manipur border, as governor. He tried to appease his brother Thaidet, governor of Saging, by giving him command of the northern cavalry. The king then appointed Minye Kyawswa his heir apparent, and married him to Saw Minla, a cousin of the groom. Thaidet felt totally betrayed. The younger brother bitterly complained that Minkhaung would not have become king were it not for him. Minye tried to but could not mollify Thaidet. Minkhaung had Thaidet arrested but later released him after Minye intervened. Shortly after, Thaidet fled to Pegu in 1407. In this segment, we'll be unraveling the complexities of deterioration of relations with Pegu and exploring its multifaceted nature. Far more than Ming China, Pegu viewed Ava's acquisition spree with great alarm. Realizing that Pegu was now Ava's only remaining target, Razadarit decided to act. He readily gave shelter to Thaidet, although he knew such an action would be regarded as a declaration of war against Ava. He broke the 1403 agreement. Pegu stopped sending the annual shipment of 30 elephants and of a share of customs revenue of the Basin port. Meanwhile, Minkhaung tried to solidify his hold over Arakan by sending his eldest daughter Sorpi Chantha to be the wife of Anoroto, as well as a senior minister to aid the vassal king. He also sent an embassy to Chiang Mai, and a long overdue mission to China in early 1408. According to the Razadarit Aedoban Chronicle, Razadarit viewed Ava's mission to Chiang Mai as an attempt by Ava to secure its rear, and decided that war was inevitable. As we progress, let's zoom in on resumption of war with Pegu and examine its role in shaping our overall narrative. Resumption of war with Pegu. In March 1408, Razadarit sent in an invasion force to Arakan, catching Ava completely by surprise. Its forces had been deployed in the north. The Ava court had not expected Pegu to act first, or an attack on Arakan. Before Ava could send any help, Pegu forces took Launggyet by late early April 1408. Razadarit had Minkhaung's son-in-law Anorota executed, and raised Minkhaung's daughter Chantha as his queen. Minkaung was furious. Although the rainy season was just a month away, the king ordered an immediate invasion of the south, overruling his minister's suggestion to wait until the dry season. In May 1408, Minkaung himself led two armies, 26,000 men, 2,200 horses, 100 elephants, and invaded the southern country. What ensued was a complete disaster. Predictably, Ava forces got bogged down in the swamps of Lower Burma. 3 months into the invasion, Ava's troops were running out of supplies due to bad weather as well as Hanthawaddy ambushes on supply lines. For his part, Razadarit could not match Ava's manpower and ordered 2 attempts on Minkaung's life. The first attempt by Hanthawaddy special forces to ambush Minkaung's small contingent was broken up on the warning by Thiot, who was with the Pagan forces. It turned out that Thiot could not betray his elder brother. Razadarit had Thiot executed for the warning. The second attempt nearly succeeded. Razadarit sent a team of commandos led by his top general Pagan Empire to infiltrate the enemy camp. Pagan Empire got inside Minkaung's tent but refused to kill a sleeping Minkaung. At any rate, Ava forces retreated August 1408. Razadarit came out and attacked the retreating troops. Ava forces were routed, and Minkaung's queen Minye was captured. Razadarit now had both the mother and the daughter in his harem. Razadarit attempted to pick off Prome by launching an attack on the city on 22 November 1408, but the attack faltered. Minkaung was forced to regroup. In December 1409, he again invaded with 2 armies, 14,000 men, 1,400 horses, 100 elephants. His armies again could not break through. 5 months into the invasion, May 1410, Razadarit counterattacked. Near Hanthawaddy, Razadarit and Minkaung faced in battle over elephants, and the Hanthawaddy king drove back Minkaung. The remaining Ava army was routed, several infantry, cavalry and elephants were captured. With that being said, let's now move on to Multi-Front War. Multi-Front War. After the 2 consecutive disastrous defeats, the dejected Minkaung handed over the military leadership to Minye Kyawswa. His eldest son was eager to have a chance to take on Razadarit, who held both his mother and sister in his harem. Over the next 5 years, Minkaung would call on Minye Kyawswa to wage war against his enemies on multiple fronts, against Hanthawaddy in both Lower Burma and Arakan, and against Ming China and its vassal states in the north. His son proved a gifted commander, and Ava would come closest to resembling the Pagan Empire. Now, let's shift our perspective and explore Lower Burma and Arakan from a different angle. Lower Burma and Arakan. Minye Kyawswa brought a fresh thinking to Ava's battle plan. Instead of directly attacking the well-defended Pegu capital region, he would attack what he believed were less defended regions. In late 1410, the prince invaded the Irrawaddy Delta by river and land with an army 7,000 men, 600 horses, and 40 elephants, and a navy that transported 7,000 men. Combined Ava forces proceeded to attack the key delta cities of Mingaung and Basin Pathain. But the prince found that the key delta cities were well fortified and prepared for long sieges. He pulled back his forces to Prome and invaded Arakan in early 1411. There, he successfully drove out Pegu-installed vassals and appointed Ava's commanders as governor-generals. Meanwhile, Razadarit sought an alliance with Senwi in an attempt to open a second front. After the rainy season of 1411, the Hanthawaddy king sent 2 armies to Arakan. The Ava garrison at Sandaway fell before Ava reinforcements, 8,000 troops, 300 horses, 30 elephants led by Minye Kyawswa arrived. Ava forces laid siege to the city for the next 3 months. But Senwi opened a new front by invading Ava territory in the north. The invasion was considered serious enough that Mingaung recalled Minye Kyawswa from Arakan. After the withdrawal, reinforced Hanthawaddy troops went on to drive out the Ava garrison at Launggyet in 1412. According to the Arakan's chronicle Razadarit, Ava retained a toehold at the Kwai-Thin town garrison in northern Arakan until, but Ava would not send a major force to Arakan, and the western state would remain a Hanthawaddy vassal at least until Razadarit's death. Without wasting any more time, let's jump into the fascinating world of Senwi 1412. Senwi 1412. Senwi's invasion was not just due to Hanthawaddy's urging. The powerful Shan state had been ordered by the Ming court to retaliate against Ava's annexation of Monian 6 years earlier. It is unclear if Mingaung and his court realized the gravity of the situation. Even if they did, their actions show they were not concerned about an escalating war against Ming-backed states in their northern border. Mingaung was determined to teach Senwi a lesson. After Minye Kyawswa decisively defeated the Senwi force near Wetwin present-day Pagan Empire, the king agreed to a plan to attack Senwi itself. Minye Kyawswa went on to lay siege to the city of Senwi throughout the rainy season of 1412. The Yunnan government sent an army 20,000 men and 2,000 cavalry to relieve the siege. The Ava army then ambushed the larger Chinese army as they came out of the forest. The Chinese army was driven back. 5 Chinese commanders, 2,000 troops and 1,000 horses were taken prisoner. Ava wanted to finish off Senwi and the siege went on for 1 more month until November 1412. But Pegu came to Senwi's aid this time by launching a massive attack on Prome after the rainy season. The attack was serious enough that Mingaung himself marched with his army to relieve Prome, and ordered Minye Kyawswa to join him on the southern front. Let's now shift gears and explore Lower Burma through a critical lens, uncovering its strengths and weaknesses. Lower Burma. Over the next 4 months the father-son team tried to break the Hanthawaddy siege of Prome. They made no meaningful progress until when the Hanthawaddy command suddenly lost its 2 most senior generals, General Biatza Natural Causes and General Lagan Kia. Shaken by the deaths, Razadarit hastily retreated. Minye Kyawswa proposed an immediate invasion of the south. Mingaung was wary but allowed his son to carry out the plan. In April 1413, Minye Kyawswa took eastern delta towns of Dolatwant and Dagan. But the Ava advance was halted at the Battle of Mobi, in which General Letiapianchi of Prome was mortally wounded. Mingaung ordered a pause as it was just a month away from the rainy season and the army did not have enough strength. The Crown Prince ignored his father's order and resumed the march to Pegu in May 1413. But the Hanthawaddy defences stopped Ava forces outside Dola and at Sirium. The fighting paused during the rainy season of 1413. Razadarit again sent emissaries to northern Shan states and Lan not in search of alliances. As we progress through this video, let's now turn our gaze towards northern Burma and more. Northern Burma and more. Ava's northern front was never quiet after the siege of Senwi. According to the Ming Shilu, the Yongle Emperor ordered another attack on Ava. In 1413, while the main Ava armies were in the south, Chinese-backed Senwi forces raided Ava's northern territories, destroying over 20 cities and stockades. The captured elephants, horses, and other goods were presented at the Chinese capital in September 1413. According to the Burmese chronicles, the attack on Miu was carried out by another Shan state, Modern Mork. As usual, Mingaung recalled Minye Kyawswa to Ava and sent his middle son Minye Kyawswa to Prome to take over the southern command. At Ava, Minye Kyawswa marched north to take on the More forces. His forces defeated More forces at Midu and chased the enemy to the Chinese border. In the next portion, we'll be immersing ourselves in the realm of Lower Burma and examining its broader implications. Lower Burma. The Ava command apparently considered the victory in the north decisive. Although the Chinese would be back later, Mingaung and the court now blithely planned a full-scale invasion of the south. Ava had collected a large invasion force. An army consisted of 8,000 men, 200 horses and 80 elephants, and a navy consisting of 13,000 men and over 1,800 ships of all sizes. In October 1414, Minye Kyawswa launched the invasion of the western Irrawaddy Delta. Although Hanthawaddy forces put up a spirited defense, Ava forces had gained complete control of the delta by the end of December. Razadarit evacuated Pegu and moved to Martaban. The Ava command planned a pincer movement on Pegu from Tango and from Dola, but the attack on Pegu would be delayed as the Chinese forces invaded from the north. Minkaung managed to send an army which forced the Chinese army to retreat. The Chinese attack provided a much-needed breathing room for Razadarit. He was back in Pegu and planning counterattack by February 1415. On 2 March 1415, Razadarit himself led the army to the Dola front. On 13 March 1415, the two armies fought at Dolatwant in one of the most famous battles in Burmese military history. Minye Kyawswa was mortally wounded in the battle. Minkaung immediately came down with an army and exhumed his son's body from where Razadarit had given it honourable burial. The remains were solemnly dropped into the waters near Twant. After rampaging through the delta, Minkaung called off the invasion and left. Get ready to immerse yourself in the world of late reign as we examine its impact and relevance. Minkaung was totally heartbroken by his eldest son's death. He recalled Thehathu from Prome and appointed him heir apparent. The war went on languidly for 2 more campaigns. In Razadarit tried to pick off Tango but was defeated. In the following dry season, Minkaung ordered a retaliatory invasion. Ava forces led by Thehathu took the delta and again forced Razadarit to move to Martaban. They remained in the south for nearly a year, but they could not break through towards Pegu and had to retreat. It was the last campaign during Minkaung's reign. The king spent his last years in piety. He died October 1421. His nemesis Razadarit is said to have lamented when he heard the news of Minkaung's death. Razadarit died about 2 months later. Now we shift our focus to administration, a topic that deserves our attention. Minkaung heavily relied on the advice of his court led by Chief Minister Minye Kyawswa. He continued to employ Pagan's administrative model of solo polities in which the High King ruled the core while semi-independent tributaries, autonomous viceroys, and governors actually controlled day-to-day administration and manpower. In this segment, we'll be unraveling the complexities of family and exploring its multifaceted nature. Chronicles state that Minkaung had 5 senior queens. One of his concubines, Swa Pandin, gave birth to a daughter named Swa, who was later married to his nephew Prince Minye of Kail Kitang. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this video.